Hey there, I'm Jen Therian, and I'm so glad you're here. I'm a former 9-to-5er that dove into entrepreneurship 8 years ago with zero business experience. I'm a wife, mama of 2 young girls, boutique owner, jeweler designer, and now the proud owner and coach leading Goldilynx Permanent Jewelry. I have a passion to empower fellow business babes. This podcast is made to equip you with everything you need to succeed, from actionable marketing steps to digging deep on your mindset. I know firsthand the heart, hard work, and let's be real, at times a struggle that makes up this amazing journey. You want to know what has enabled me to shine the brightest? Coaching plus community. Here at Goldilynx, we share openly, educate, and lift each other up. Expect to get linked with fellow PJ owners that will do just that, sprinkled with plenty of fun along the way. Competition is an old school thought, and connection is the way. Get ready to feel inspired. Welcome to the Goldilynx podcast. I'm sitting down with Amelia from Timber and Tide Designs today. She is so talented. I can't wait for you to listen to her journey. She actually has a graphic design background, started a permanent jewelry business, and realized there was a need for signage and displays for permanent jewelry. And oh my gosh, has she totally fulfilled that need. Of course, I found her by purchasing my own sign for Goldilynx, and I was so interested to hear of her journey. And she is just a true artist, you can tell. She's going to be a sponsor vendor at PJX this year. I can't wait for you to meet her in person if you're there. And actually, you'll see in our discussion that we were talking about, I had a specific idea for a charm and connector display, which she has totally made happen. So if you're interested in seeing it, you can head to her Instagram or my Instagram, and I definitely will be posting it because I am obsessed. So it was really cool. This was such a great conversation. We continued talking after even our interview. She is so easy to talk to and such a cool person. So I hope you enjoy it. Okay, I'm here with Amelia so tell me about your business name. Actually, I want to start there first. How did you come up with the name of your business?
Okay, so it's like a long story, but to make it short and sweet, obviously I live in Maine. Maine is known as the Pine Tree State. And obviously, we have thousands of miles of coastlines. I wanted to represent the state a little bit in what I was doing. And I wanted something that wasn't really technically tied to the state. So I didn't want like Maine in the name because obviously I knew I wanted to have like a national customer base. If something, whether I moved or whatever else, I wanted it to be unique, but also tied to my kind of, my roots. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I went with timber for the trees and tide for the ocean.
I love it. It's really catchy too, because when I first found you on Etsy, I remembered the name for some reason. Like it was easy to remember, which is awesome.
That's nice to hear because I'm always questioning myself, and I have a history in branding, graphic design, and stuff like that. And anytime I start my own little small business or side hustle or whatever, I always spend hours on end coming up with a name, and it's just always like sitting in my brain. I have this list of, or this, or how do I combine these words? I don't know. It just is a forever long process, like way longer than it should be. And so even now, recently, I've been like, should I change the name? Does it really fit what I'm doing? And it ended up being a weird kind of also mix of what I'm doing with making the signs. I actually started out doing a lot of stuff with wood. So that kind of tied into the timber play on words thing.
Yes. And that's why it's so interesting to talk to you, because of course we see whether your signs on Etsy or whatever, and it's so cool to find out the story behind the name, you know what I mean? Because of course, when you see that, you're like, there's a story behind that. Like going into just first, I should ask this before asking that question, but just tell us about you. Who are you? What's your history? How'd you get into what you're doing? Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
I was born and raised in Maine. I moved actually to Arizona to go to college. It was a graphic technology school. So it wasn't like your standard 4-year bachelor degree or anything. I went to the Art Institute of Phoenix. So it was a all year long 3-year college instead. And I actually went for web and graphic design. So I graduated in 2009. and it makes me feel old.
I know, right? So wild.
Yeah. When I say, oh my God, I graduated college so long ago. But anyway, I actually ended up moving back to Maine because I was like homesick and I don't know, like the big city life compared to little Maine. It
Yes.
was big differences. And I miss the ocean. I miss the
Yes.
lakes. I miss the changing seasons, even though I hate winter.
I hear you. No, I'm in the same as you. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're in that now. Like we were just talking about, it's very cold right now. But, anyways, I went and worked for an agency in Portland and did some digital marketing there. So I did that for 2.5 years. Again, still doing web and stuff on the side. And always my passion. And I didn't know how to really break back into it on my own. I was always scared to take that next step. So I was trying to figure out, what did I want to do? I was getting sick of doing the websites and just the social media management. It just wasn't for me. It just wasn't, I didn't really have that passion anymore.
Yeah.
And again, with the world in turmoil, I just
Yes.
like, what am I going to do with my time? So
Right.
things were slow. I kept looking at these 3D lasers. I don't know if you've really seen them or heard of them. There's the machine called a glow forge, which is,
Yes.
it's similar. A lot of people think 3D printing. It's not 3D printing, but it's a similar like machine
Yes.
where it's like a tabletop machine. You put in acrylic, wood, different materials, and then you
Yeah.
can either engrave or cut on it. I didn't end up buying one until I think it was the end of 2020 or the beginning of 21. And I still was like trying to figure stuff out. I really didn't get into it. I'm trying to think we're in 2024. So I'm like trying to figure out everything I've been doing.
I know. Especially
uh,
once you have a child, it's just like mom brain.
yeah.
Everything. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, I guess that's really what I was doing. I was being a mom.
Yeah, I know. That's like a big part of it, right?
Yeah.
Yes. What was I doing?
I had my son at the end of 2020 in November. So I was
Yes.
doing the first time mom thing
Yep.
and really just, I had to take a break from work. So that's exactly what I was doing is I took a break
Yeah.
and I was like, okay, I couldn't handle it. Yeah, as much as I have worked multiple jobs at once, I couldn't really handle the first time mom thing, taking care of a newborn and working on top of it. Like I was like, wow, like
I hear
this is
you.
just way too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just did the stay at home mom thing for a while.
Mhm.
And then finally mid to late 2022, I finally picked up my glow forge and started,
Okay.
what am I going to make? I want to be creative again.
Yeah.
That has been my whole premise for so long, is just being creative, is what
Yeah.
can I make? And I'm on Pinterest all the time again with the newborns napping. So I've been seeing all these ideas and I'm like, okay, it's time. I just need to do it. Again, having that design background, I obviously know programs like Adobe. So I already have my foot in the door, that way of not having to teach myself the whole program.
Right.
So again, I had that, I could just jump in and really
Yes.
use it to figure out the materials and stuff, the settings and stuff like that. But so I started off making some home decor, engraved cutting boards, Christmas ornaments, just some kind of random stuff here and there. Again, having that niche of knowing real estate agents, I thought, oh, I
Mhm.
can make closing gifts. So when you
Yes.
close in your home, a realtor usually has this little gift basket or personalized gift that they give to their customers, whether buyer, seller, whatever. And I
Right.
was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to hone in on that. And I went so far down the rabbit hole. Okay. Like I really was all over the place. I really didn't know what I wanted to do, what I was gonna do, what I was gonna sell, how I was gonna make money. I
Mhm.
really had jumped in this like both feet in the water, like I'm just going for it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I wasn't doing anything else. I had no other real income coming in because
Yeah.
I pretty much took a break from everything. And I was like, okay, what am I going to do? This is great. I was making I started my Etsy shop. I was getting a couple of sales here and there, selling some stuff to local friends, family. I had a couple real estate agents who bought some stuff, but it wasn't really taking off like I thought it would.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is like spring of 23, last year. This is not even
Oh,
a year.
wow.
Yeah, this is not even
Not
a
even
year.
a year ago. That's crazy. Okay.
Yeah. I was like, what am I going to do? And so this is where it gets interesting. But
Ooh.
so I've always loved jewelry. Throughout the
Mhm.
years, I picked up little things here and there, like beading, bracelet type of thing,
Yeah,
just as hobbies, not as anything like I thought I would make money doing.
sure.
And all of a sudden, permanent jewelry started showing up. Like I
Yeah.
saw a couple of friends doing it. It was showing up in my Instagram feed, just like randomly. Obviously, I'm a girl and I love jewelry and pretty things.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is this? And I feel like from that moment, it just everything was like, it just blew up like unexpectedly. I was like, oh, I really want to do this. I love it. I love the idea of it. No one's really doing it in my state. Even now, I probably can count on one, maybe two hands, the amount of people doing it in Maine.
That's crazy.
Yeah, they actually say pretty much every trend takes 10 years to get here. So I think we still got a couple of years before it really blows up. But so I was like, oh, I could really do this. I could start something. And yeah, like I said, it was just a roller coaster. I was still making things with my glow forge, but I decided to buy the machine, the welder.
Mhm.
I ended up buying the non-branded one. Don't kill me. Don't come after me.
Hey, you have to start somewhere, right?
Exactly. Again, I wasn't making much income. I didn't have a
I
lot of
hear you.
first time mom, like whatever. Anyway, I had just bought a house in 2022. So again, whatever.
Yes.
I I got the machine, I bought some supplies, and so again, I'm back to my normal doing like a couple of different things in the basket. Okay, I'm going to make multiple streams of income here. I can still do some stuff over here through my Etsy, and
Sure.
I'll do the permanent jewelry. I'll go to have a few pop-ups, go to craft shows. I was not prepared. Needless to say, I went to a craft show doing the permanent jewelry. And again, since it's like a new thing, I ran an ad. I was like, oh, yeah, come and see me, blah, blah. I didn't expect what I got. So I actually had I probably this is one of the biggest craft shows in the city. It's at a local college. So a lot of people go there. And
Mhm.
again, I've never really done a craft show like this.
Yeah.
I've gone to a couple of things here and there, local shows, doing other stuff I did in the past, and it never was a big
Sure.
thing. I might even get one or two sales out of the probably 100, I don't know, 7,500 vendors there. I think I probably had the most in sales. Like my table was just flooded. Like I had people waiting in line.
Oh my.
And again, this was my first time doing
So
it.
first time ever. Like you didn't do like a party or your friends or
No,
anything? Oh
no.
my gosh, I love it. You just dove in.
I literally dove in. I was like,
That's
oh my,
amazing.
I'm sweating. This was like a whole day fair, like from 8 until 4, I
Wow.
think. And I was busy from start to end. Like
Wow. That's
one person after another. This is like the success stories that people that are getting into permanent jewelry want to hear. This is what they
sure.
want. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh my God, this is insane. This is awesome. I love it. I made a mistake of not having the birthstone charms completely
Mhm.
ready. Like, again, rabbit hole, right? I thought, oh, I'm going to do things different and I'm going to make the charms myself. So,
Okay. Like you already had a maid though, or no?
no.
Oh, like on the spot. Okay.
On the spot. Pick your metal, whether you want to do a charm or a connector, sterling silver, gold filled. And then I had all the real gemstones, like ready to pop
Yes,
them in.
totally.
Yeah, I'm
Yep.
going to build the whole thing right on the spot. Again, horrible idea. Don't recommend it. Never do it. So that went great. And I probably did a couple more pop ups after that. Then I got the brilliant idea of I'm going to open a storefront. So again, like I said, I just really was diving in on every idea.
Yeah.
Like I'm going for it. I have nothing to lose. So I rented a space that was like 30 minutes from my house, got it all set up, was super pumped. Oh, this is going to do awesome. No.
Really?
Yeah, no. So again, not since the word wasn't really around of what it was. And I honestly probably could have done some better marketing,
Sure.
but I wasn't in the best location. I was on a very busy road, which is
Okay.
great traffic wise, you'd think, but it's not a lot of foot traffic.
I was
And
gonna
that,
say traffic, but not like the where people are actually walking to shop. Like,
yeah.
were you around any other shops or where were you like a standalone or were you around?
So where I was located was actually like right off the highway. Again, I was thinking this place was going to be awesome. I loved it.
Mhm.
I was obsessed with it. It had these great 3 or 4 huge front windows. You
Oh,
could just
beautiful.
yeah, you could like see me from the road. Like I wasn't far from set off the road.
Sure.
There was a bakery and a restaurant next to me,
Mhm.
and a bar out back. I'm thinking, oh, I'm gonna get these people coming in before or whatever. They go to the bar, when they
Yeah.
on Sundays when they go to the bakery, whatever. Again, no. So huge advice for people if
Yes.
they're looking at starting a brick and mortar is make sure that you are really doing research into the location.
Yeah.
Like I said, I thought this was going to be an awesome location. It wasn't. Foot traffic wise, it wasn't. It was busy, like I said, traffic, not foot traffic. Even with the
Yeah.
people that like knew the bakery and stuff, I had put out a sign or saying we're welcome, open, whatever. I thought people would just like being nosy, being just like, oh, what's this new store that opened?
Right.
Nope. I just I ended up actually only being there 3 months, I think.
Okay.
I from where the location was about, like I said, 30 minutes from my house, but also like another 35 minutes from downtown Portland. Now, obviously, if I could have afforded a place in Portland or wanted to
Sure.
drive an hour every day to go to my store, then yeah, I would have totally gone to Portland. That I probably
Yeah.
would have done great there. But needless to say, when I first started the store, I thought I'm going to do the jewelry plus like the customized gifts and stuff like that. I
Mhm.
had my machine there and everything. Yeah, like I was ready to do it all. Like whatever you wanted, personalized, customized type stuff, like I had it all
Yeah.
set up. And again, I don't think that I really marketed it as well or as much as I could. So again, tip wise, I would say if you're doing anything, marketing is huge.
Mm.
Whether you are consistent on social media or boosting some of your posts or advertising on a low budget, signage, whatever, like
Mhm.
it's huge. It would make a huge difference. And
So were you doing any of that at the time? What was your marketing look like at the time? Did you have an Instagram? Did you have some for that specific business, like your permanent jewelry? And did you have
yep. Yeah. So I
okay,
do have a Instagram for that permanent jewelry business, which has gone stagnant because I
okay,
haven't been doing permanent jewelry really since like summer of last year. I did a couple
okay.
like private parties here and there, but anytime I tried to make a commitment, it would be overshadowed by the signs. Back to when I first got into that shop is when I probably had like maybe one or two, like a couple of sign orders here and there. And again, this is really where it comes into knowing your niche.
Mm.
I knew, and having my digital marketing background and all this other stuff, knowledge now, knowing like having done the permanent jewelry, I was like, I noticed there was something missing.
Yeah.
And it was signage and stuff for people doing permanent jewelry.
Yes.
I I was on Etsy. I'm seeing all these QR code signs and all these cute
Yes.
little things. And I'm like, there's no one actually targeting people that are doing jewelry, designing jewelry,
Mhm.
permanent jewelry specifically.
Yes.
And yeah, that's my brainchild, I guess you could say, is that I mixed my two passions at the
Yeah.
time. And again, this is where it exploded for me, is that I did couple of signs. I started really being more active on my Instagram for the Etsy shop.
Mhm.
And I think just knowing how to use hashtags and following people that were doing permanent jewelry,
Yeah.
I think just it started to just spread. And
Awesome.
it was just, it was insane. It was crazy. It was just like a couple of months into it, and I was busier than I could, like, I couldn't even believe it. Like, I could not keep up. I was
Wow.
getting so many orders, and actually at the same time I left the shop because I realized I was traveling 30 minutes to and from the shop to go make signs.
You could just do it home.
Yeah. And I'm like, "What am I doing?"
Right.
So, my fiancé, he's like, "You could save a lot of time and gas money
Time
if
and
you
money,
weren't
sure.
overhead in general and not paying rent. Why don't you just bring all your stuff back home?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? I didn't want to. I was a little sad because I really was
Mhm.
hoping that the permanent jewelry thing would work out.
Yeah.
Honestly, I liked doing the permanent jewelry more than making signs at
Do
the time.
you?
Yeah. Like at the time I did. I was just like, I really like this. I had more person to person like interaction. I wasn't just like hiding out in my basement like I am now, working
Right.
all day.
Yes.
So obviously it has its ups and downs, pros and cons, whatever. But who can turn down like that business? Like I said,
Right.
I wanted to make money and I was making money. It I enjoyed it at the same time. So I was like, wow, I hadn't really used my hands to create anything in a long time. I'd been really on the computer mostly. Again, doing graphic design, web design, digital
Right.
marketing, whatever. I was pretty much sitting in front of a computer all day every day,
Yeah.
and even with the permanent jewelry, but especially with the signs, I was able to be more creative and be
Mhm.
hands-on, and I don't know, it's just the same passion, or I don't know, the just like happiness of seeing when I did digital marketing and website building, like seeing a design come to life. It was
Yes.
just like so much more intense, like having this hand tangible thing that I can see and hold.
Mhm.
And it's just out there now. Someone's buying it. It's going to be displayed in front of all these other people. Again, it's similar to the whole website experience, but I don't in a whole different way. It's hard to explain. And
Yeah.
it really has, like I said, been a roller coaster. I guess I was lucky to pick the niche that I did. And I
Yes.
think that applies to really like any business, even permanent jewelry. Like you
Mhm.
have a
Yeah.
niche, you have an ideal client or customer that is going to want to come and get permanent jewelry, that wants to have custom jewelry that they pretty much created. Like they're picking
Yes.
out the charms and the chain and all
Yeah.
that. And I think there's just a lot to it that people just love about it. And I think obviously a lot of people are getting into clasps now, adding the clasp. And
Mhm.
I don't know. Again, I still think it's just so cool to see how permanent jewelry is evolving and changing.
Oh, yeah, I totally think it's, like you said, a niche. Because honestly, people look at the broader, like, even when you said the people in your area, say other people get caught up with the competition or someone else popping up in their area doing it. But I think that honestly, I have a permanent jewelry friend that does it in the town, like, next to me, and we
But
collab on some events and stuff together, and she has a totally different clientele. Like,
yeah,
She has such a different style. She goes more for she's in the rodeo kind of thing. They're in that world. And so she's
Yeah.
very like Western and with even the things she offers. And I'm like, that's so not me. Like
Yeah.
we have totally different people that would come to one or the other, really. Don't
Yeah.
get me wrong, we have some maybe same chains, but even just like her style and how she presents herself and her brand is
Mhm.
totally different than mine. So I think that even just niching down within that industry of permanent jewelry is there's so many ways you can go about it. And I don't think that's what some people realize. And just I think sometimes it takes a minute though to figure that out.
Yeah.
Once you start and then you're like you maybe start general and you're like, wow, I really love this. And that's what
You
for some
visited.
reason these people coming to me are loving this too. And that's my customer. And
Yeah.
kind of realizing what people are wanting and needing and
Yeah.
fulfilling that.
Oh, yeah, for
So,
sure. Again, even with what I'm doing, again, I started with just doing the signs
yeah,
because for me at the beginning, they were basic. They seemed simple, like
right.
it was whatever. But again, when I realized that I wanted or decided to niche down to like
Mhm.
permanent jewelry artists, I would like just started getting all these ideas of other things
Yeah.
that I could make. And that's where the displays came from, like for the chains, for the charms, the leather and acrylic tags to name the
Yes.
chains and stuff.
Yes.
That was one of my first products, or was the little tags, like really niche specific. That was like one of the first. So from there, leather patches, whatever. I was just like all these different things because I'm like, my
Mhm.
machine can do all these different
Yes.
materials. So how can I utilize it? And I'm still today trying to come up with different ideas that permanent jewelry artists or just jewelry designers in general can use, because I think a lot of people like just like being able to design and customize their jewelry.
Mhm.
With my signage and displays, you're getting to customize it. Like you get to make it your
Exactly.
brand, match
Right.
your colors, have your logo. And I think especially when you really want to stand out from other people or at a big craft fair or whatever, it's having that vibe, that personality
Mhm.
that draws people in. And I think you're in the Facebook groups, right? Like the
Yes, I
yeah,
am.
a friend of mine, a local other permanent jewelry artist here, she actually posted about her setup in one of the groups like just yesterday.
Oh,
And
that's awesome.
yeah, so she was like giving me a little shout out, which I didn't expect at all. Her name's Mia from Good Stock. And you may have seen her stuff. It's very pink, retro, groovy, like
Okay.
lots of rat and patterns and disco balls, stuff like that.
Love it.
And yeah, so she's been awesome to work with. Like I've done a lot of stuff for her, but it's been very branded, very much like it all just has this cohesive feeling. Yeah. And she actually was recommended to me or referred to me by a girl named Jenna from Two Waves in the Sun. So I don't know if you've seen her. She's out of Connecticut.
Okay.
Again, very branded. Like I've done like everything of hers is ocean beachy.
Mhm.
So like she specifically wanted chain displays that were in the shape or looked like surfboards, and her idea was really what sparked me to start making more chain displays. Like I want something that's unique that fits my brand and everything. And
Yes.
from there I was like, wait a minute, what else can I make for displays?
I know I was gonna ask you, obviously, you probably get new ideas from, again, people's needs and them asking you, and then that probably spurs and just this, like, domino effect of
Yeah,
inspiration for you, I would assume.
it is. It really is. When people will come to me and be like, "Oh, I have this idea. Can you make it? Can you help me with this?" I'm actually working on a new product right now with Lindy from Permanent Jewelry Besties.
Okay.
I believe that's what it's called, right? And we're working on something for ear piercings. So
Love.
it seems like there a lot of permanent jewelry people are getting into piercing
Okay.
ears and
Yeah.
stuff, like as just like
Yeah.
another additional service on top of what they're
Sure.
doing. Yeah, so we're working on a display for that. Yeah, which I'm really excited about. And yeah, that should be I'm trying to think. I have to actually work on a design for that for her. So she is going to be probably displaying that at the beginning of February.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll probably have it. already like on the website and ready to sell
Right.
probably next week. I don't know.
Well, it plays into the legitimacy or the, I guess, the overall feel of your, again, with branding when it comes to the signage. Cause I ordered a sign from you and it's funny, like I had a QR code sign that I did have made that was acrylic. It wasn't actually by you, but it was someone else I had found in the beginning. And it was actually probably before you were doing it on Etsy then,
Yeah.
because it was over a year ago. And it's so funny. And then I had a normal, just like a printed in a frame, like priceless for the longest time until I
Yeah.
recently purchased from you.
Yeah.
And people would always comment on this QR code sign. They're like, "Where'd you get that sign?" I'm like, okay, they're not even asking about my jewelry. They want to know about the sign. I'm like, that's fine. But then I ordered the sign from you and it's funny because I got it and as I'm like, oh, I love this, but I actually want it bigger. And so
Yeah.
you were so great about like getting back to me right away and being like, hey, can we just make this center arch this much bigger? And you're like, heck yeah. And then we just switched some things around that I wanted to do to it. But I did use it for an event or two. And again, people were like, where's the sign from? Like they just love the sign.
Yeah.
It's definitely it's eye-catching. And I think it plays into just the feel, overall feel, which is so important of your business and what you're saying with what your display, your signage.
Yeah.
Like it's, I don't want to say it's everything, but it's a big portion, right? Because just like you said, if you saw the one company that like the surfboard, the ocean theme versus the other boho, like there's going to be one person that's attracted to that versus the other, just
Yeah.
because of like how that resonates with them. So I think it's really important to just, of course, say who you are through everything that you have for your business,
Yeah.
especially when you're doing pop-ups and markets in that way, because they're not walking into a brick and mortar. Like
Mhm.
you have to take that with you and have this feel in someone's home or at a pop-up and be able to bring this presence like mobily. So your signage is so amazing to let businesses be able to do that. Honestly, it's so cool.
Thank you.
So
I appreciate it. Honestly, I don't even know. Everyone that I've met in the permanent jewelry kind of realm and just like the different personalities, it's really it's fascinating. I have some that are like they see something and they're inspired by it and they might copy it or have similar colors and stuff. And
sure.
again, it might be something that's trending or whatever, but especially for the ones that kind of go all out and have this whole setup and they want the whole, like I said, the couple that I mentioned already.
Mhm.
When you really start expanding on it and building on it, it makes you more reputable. It shows people that you are passionate and about your business and you're putting money into your business.
Yeah.
You're not just this pop up overnight.
Right.
I'm not gonna lie, like I'm gonna do this today. And I loved it. I know I
Yeah.
made my own signage or whatever, not like huge stuff, but I had a sign I messed up on. And I was like, I'll use this for myself. And it's my stuff is a little on brand, but not. And I'm just like, again, you think I would be more like I'm going to be more on brand. I would take my own advice, but again, since I'm not doing it full time,
Yeah.
I haven't put the effort into it, and I think people can
Mhm.
tell that. Like someone might be obviously people are going to be excited about, oh, let me get a welded piece bracelet or whatever,
Sure.
and
Sure.
I think a lot of people love that idea and it's the curiosity of it. But again, you go to a craft show that has how many other vendors that are selling jewelry? Like, what is going to set you apart from them? What is going to get you the
Exactly.
sale over that person 2 tables over?
What does your setup say about you? What do you want to convey to people basically? What do you want them to know about you? If you take it to extremes and just say, yeah, someone set up a table and literally, like you said, just put like a cheap display and like a chintzy sign and not even did anything versus someone who had this beautiful, all the beautiful things branded, signed by you and a great display and like a beautiful tablecloth or whatever. Obviously, who are you going to be? Who is going to see more? And also, too, it plays into the perceived value of
Exactly.
everything, too, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're putting out a chain display that literally just has chain thrown on there and it's messy, but you're asking $80 for a bracelet, it's versus someone who has this beautiful display and like all these, again, just it all set up and branded.
Yeah.
You're obviously like perceived value of them is high versus
Yeah.
someone who's just like throwing it out there. So yeah, I think that you're such a huge part of that. So that's amazing. Because honestly, even just having the boutique business I did prior to and being a jewelry designer myself and making jewelry for years prior to doing permanent jewelry,
Yeah.
one of my things always was merchandising. And honestly, again, through that, learning that too, like you can make a product look really cheap or you can make it look really nice. And it's your display is everything. So for me, I'm always on the hunt for good displays, especially when it
Yeah.
comes to jewelry, because jewelry has such a small like footprint. It's very tiny for
Yeah.
the most part. There can
Right.
be bigger jewelry, but I guess the jewelry that I've made and stuff. And it's just trying to find great displays that just show off that jewelry nicely. And again, permanent jewelry is along those lines. It's like those dainty chains. Like it's not like this big beaded jewelry.
Right.
So it's like finding that and just again, the vibe that goes along with what you want. Like
Yeah.
I'm always on the hunt for displays. And I think for a permanent jewelry niche, like everyone is too. Everyone wants
Yeah.
something unique. They want something that says something about themselves. And again, you might go into it like you did, which I highly advise. Go into it not thinking you're not ready. Like dive
Right.
in, but then
Right.
as you are developing your business, it's smart to know that these things are really important to
Yeah.
develop who you are, who you're trying to reach, what you're trying to say, and yeah, what you want this business to be.
Yeah. And I like anyone, again, we're always evolving, growing
Yeah.
things. If you are getting started out, I don't say, hey, come to my website and buy the whole setup. Jump
Yeah.
on, fully commit yourself here. I've had plenty of people that might buy a sign here or there. They buy the how it works and the care
Yeah.
sign because those are like the most informational signs, I
Yeah.
guess, that make sense for customers that are coming by. They look at those signs like, oh, yeah, okay. Even those will draw people in because I have those when people are like, oh, what is this?
Mm.
Whatever. But I'm always changing stuff up and I'm always learning. I started out with one display and I've changed it over the course of the last few months
Yeah.
where I get feedback from people all the time. Oh, if you did this might be better, or if you change that. Again, it's about the functionality of it too,
Right.
or the space it takes up even.
Yeah.
Most people are traveling with what, 4 to 6 foot tables.
Yeah.
And I've come up with all kinds of different ideas and stuff to save space or something
Yeah.
that's going to be a little bit more functional or easier to break down or put together. Again,
Right.
with having the acrylic, it can be very fragile.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people sometimes don't understand that. They think, oh, it's
Mhm.
acrylic, so it's going to be hard. It's like plastic. But
Yes.
I've had a couple of customers have unfortunate events where the
Yeah.
wind takes it and it breaks into 3 pieces. And I wish I had
How
a
do you advise to travel with it? That's a good point because honestly, what I found too, like with the one acrylic sign they had prior to buying yours, it can, of course, it could scratch and stuff too, like
Mhm.
especially like the mirrored gold and
Yep.
stuff. So, how do you suggest traveling with it? Like just maybe wrapping it in something, or I don't know. What do you?
Yeah, so I definitely suggest wrapping it, whether it be like some padded, the mail bubble packing
Yeah.
or whatever, or putting like a nice soft like microfiber or something like over the top, especially if it
Mhm.
has a lot of mirror stuff, because that
Yes.
can scratch very easily.
Yeah.
Like I've had some people ask to have their display in mirror, and I usually will suggest against it, recommend
Yeah.
not doing that because especially with chains being moved around, picked up or whatever, it's gonna like scratch eventually.
Yeah.
But yeah, for I mean traveling wise, I definitely recommend um having a safe way to move it around. Don't just
Right.
throw it on top of your box and think it's,
Yes.
not only are sometimes there are little pieces, I use adhesive that should keep little details in place and stuff, but
Sure.
obviously things happen. Sometimes things can pop off. Sometimes I usually use like a super glue, a gorilla clear glue that keep things stuck on just because there's so many different things to know. But as far
Yeah.
as
Actually, like maybe a carrying case
yeah,
is in your future.
it might be.
Something you can get manufactured that is because like, of course my wheels are turning. I'm like, yeah, that would be actually a great add-on for you just because
Ah,
I would buy that. Like I would buy
yeah,
that. because right now I'm totally mobile. Again, the three arch sign, and most of your stuff does break down, right? Because it
Yeah.
has the stand and okay. So it all goes flat, which is awesome because that
Yeah.
way too, I feel like if it was already put together, it'd be more apt to break and harder to travel with.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would totally buy a carrying case actually
Yeah.
to
Well, now I'm going to have to come up with a new one.
fearless.
Yeah. Obviously, the most important thing is not to put stuff on top of it.
Not let things scratch against it, like even if you were to like wrap it up.
Yeah.
Because again, I have the three arches or whatever.
Yeah.
So letting those not, yeah,
Yeah.
rub together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Just as much as you're taking care of your jewelry, you're not just throwing your chains in there. You're not just taking your
Right.
charms and pooh, here you go. I'll organize them later. You've
Yeah.
purchased this thing that
Yeah.
is not cheap. Like you've
Yeah.
taken the time, you've waited for it. Like it's
Yeah.
been like assembled. And yeah, again, it is somewhat fragile. And
Yeah.
you would think, having put that investment into your company, you want to take care of that
Yeah.
investment, anything
For
else.
sure.
So yeah, definitely I recommend like wrapping it up in something that is going to be soft.
Yeah.
And
Microfiber is a good idea.
yeah, I mean layering it, but not
Yeah.
again putting anything on top of that, because
Yes.
again, if you put
Yes.
anything too heavy, it might crack it.
Exactly. Yes. Those are
Also,
good things to know.
even for displaying it, another huge thing, especially if you're going to be outside, like it's only an eighth of an inch, like eighth-inch thickness.
Yep.
Like it's very thin. It's
Yeah.
not paper. It's not bending or anything. But
Sure.
obviously, if it's too windy outside,
Mhm.
like you got to think like things are going to tip over. Not just acrylic, anything you have for display wise, it has a chance
Exactly.
of tipping over. And
Yes.
I wouldn't place it anywhere near the edge of your table. Like
Yeah.
place it on the in the middle ish or something. Like I've even suggested putting double-sided tape or something on the
That's a
base,
good idea. Oh yeah. That's great.
so that you can stick it to your cover.
Mhm.
One of my customers said they thought about doing like the Velcro where
Yeah.
you have the it like sticks again to it's like double-sided or it has an adhesive
Exactly.
on one side. So then you
Right.
can take it off. Some people didn't like that idea because they're like, then you're going to ruin the cover of for your table. If you're going to have things in the same place, you're never going to see it anyway. But
True.
yeah, I think there's a lot of different ways to go about it.
Mhm.
Obviously,
Yeah, it's just a
yeah,
live and learn situation too, especially outdoor events. I know wind is, especially here in Colorado, I have some trauma from doing outdoor events. It is what it is. You got to figure it out. I've had a tent in the air.
yeah,
I've had clothing racks fall over. I've ruined racks of very dainty jewelry that fell over. It's just,
yeah.
it is what it is. But you do have to like just figure out what works for you. And
I
that's
can't control
part of
Mother
the process.
Nature, unfortunately.
Exactly. You can't? Oh man.
No, I
Well,
wish.
so let's talk though about PJX because I'm
Yes,
super excited you're going to be there.
yes,
That's so
yeah.
exciting. So, are you going to be like just displaying a bunch of different things and people can place orders there or tell us about that?
Yes. So I'm still trying to figure all the details out myself, like
Sure.
how I want to handle everything. I am going to take orders. Obviously, my stuff is not a pick, grab, and take.
Exactly. You can.
Yeah, so that's one of the biggest things I think I'm trying to figure out is I do want to have some kind of like freebie like takeaways that people can
Yeah.
have. I don't know if you saw on my Instagram last night, I posted like these cute little engraved straw like charms for
Cute.
so that's just like a new design that I've been playing with and I think I might have something like that because obviously I'm going to offer it for people to order but I
Yeah.
have some cute little like branded ones.
Love it.
Yes, but I will probably have some signs on display, maybe a couple of them. I think I'm probably going to have mostly just images, photos of stuff that I made because and obviously it's hard not to travel locally, but travel
Sure.
back and forth. I don't want to have stuff get broken, but
Yeah.
um, so I probably will have a few displays, probably like the most popular ones that like the care sign, the how it works sign, a couple of the chain displays, charm displays, stuff like
Yeah.
that. I'll probably definitely have on display. But I am really excited to be there because I am an official sponsor for this
Yay.
year's expo. Yeah. So I wanted to go last year, but again, I had just gotten started not
Yes.
only doing permanent jewelry here and there, but doing the signage and stuff. And again, not in the budget, but
Yeah, I hear.
I definitely was not ready to be there, like showing off my products and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Again, I've just been doing this like a year now, and the products that my offering has just expanded in the
Yeah.
last 6 months so much that
I know,
no,
and I can't imagine being that we're about 5 months away-ish or more from the
yeah,
PJX, like, how much more you could have even by then is
yeah.
insane. Because, like, just what you've done in 6 months is awesome. What right now do you feel is your best seller? Do you have, like, one that stands out amongst the rest or no?
Like the two signs that I said that are obviously permanent
That's how
jewelry
it works. Yeah.
specific, yeah.
Yeah.
But honestly, the 2-panel sign has been the biggest seller. I don't know if it's cost or just like the simplicity of it. It started off as just the one panel with the logo and some QR codes. And then on the second panel, you have the pricing. And I
Yeah.
think that was like the biggest just combining those two ideas.
Right.
Again, instead of having several different signs all over the place, it's
Yes.
combined, it takes up less space. So yeah, just continuing like throughout like
Yeah.
even different markets. Sherry from Permanent Jewelry Training, I think I'm saying her name right, Sherry. She just ordered 2 signs, one for her permanent jewelry and one for her hat bar. Yeah,
Yep.
so they were both 2-panel signs, and again, I think it's just also I mean, I allow so much different customization. I think that's
Yeah.
the biggest part is that everyone wants to mix and match different aspects from different signs into how can I fit the most information on one sign, like one
Yes.
in one space. Like, I'm literally talking with someone right now of combining 2 displays and a couple like side panels. Again, they're like, I have a small table. I want to keep it small. I don't want to take up
Mhm.
a lot of space. So again, that's a huge thing for people. Right?
Huge.
Yeah.
That's why it's so great because yours combines that where it's even for me. So I can probably grab it right now and show people.
Go ahead.
Should I show?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, you have.
So this is the one I have.
Yay.
And I'm getting the larger version of this. But okay, so I had my price list separate and I had a separate sign for this. And
Yep.
then of course right here you have space for the like business cards,
Yep.
which I have like a higher, like a more like a postcard 4x6 sign or
Yep.
size. But so that was also separate on my table. So now
Yes.
with this, I can be
Yep.
like, here's my price list, here's a QR, and then I'll have these sitting here too,
Yeah.
where those were all like these 3 separate things.
Exactly.
So I love that this is like all in one. And it does, and even all in all, even though it's longer, it's a 3 panel, but it's like
Yeah.
compared to what I had, it actually takes up way less space, especially with these standing up and not like sitting down on my table.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's just like efficient and it's beautiful.
I love it. Yeah,
So
and a lot of people, even like with that space that you have blank right now because you put like your bigger business cards or whatever there,
yeah.
some people will fill that space with the how it works
Hmm.
instructions. So again, that's another one
Yeah.
less sign.
That's so great. And that's such a great idea. I don't have that sign, I have to say, but you made me think as I'm talking, like, gosh, because when I'm at pop ups and I don't have someone helping me, and people are still, of course, there's so many people that still are like, what is this? So you're working with your customer and you want to give them your full attention, but you're also having to like field all the conversation, the talk happening around you, while people coming to your table.
Yeah,
So if they're just standing there and knowing I'm busy and waiting for me to be like, hey, what is this? And not wait for me, they can
yeah,
have this beautiful sign that says, okay, this is what it is and how it works. And
yeah,
not having me to do everyone knows that the spiel
yeah,
that you
exactly.
have to say it again and again. And you like, it's nice to have something take the place of that.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
So,
exactly, and that was the original intent was so you don't have to always say the spiel. I
right.
probably end up saying the spiel anyway, but again, if there's, like, people waiting in line or whatever, they can read it for themselves, and even with that sign, what started off as a simple 3-step, "This is how it works." It's really simple, like, even
Yeah.
that has evolved over time with now there's a 4-step, and there's an extended 4-step, like, that has a little bit more details. Like I said, things come and change, and I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
it
I should put this out there. I don't know if I want to ask you a few more questions before we wrap this up because I feel like I
yeah,
could talk to you forever. But
yeah,
what is, do you accept custom work? Say someone came
yeah,
to you and was like literally picturing something totally different than even what you offer. Like they want Do you accept that, or do you like
Oh,
take
absolutely.
some stuff right now?
Oh yeah,
Or
absolutely. Yeah. Honestly, that's some of my favorite stuff is
oh,
doing.
good,
Yeah.
good. Okay, cool.
I think again because I get to tap into that creativity of not doing the same stuff over and
Yes,
over. Okay,
yes.
how can we change this? How can we make this a little different? I just did one for Raw Amor. I think I'm
Okay,
saying that right. She wanted to have the display with a little side half panel that has the how it works steps. And
okay,
then on the base is space for your little square reader, a QR code to scan her Venmo. And then there was like a tiny little arch that was sitting in front of the display that had a couple QR codes on it to follow her on social media. Yeah, so that was like her idea. She's, I have all these things that I want, but I want, again, want them to be together to save
yes.
space. And I was like, okay, let's do this. Same with Off the Chains. I don't know if you've seen that huge black display that I made with the lightning bolt cutouts.
Oh my
It was like,
gosh, that sounds amazing. I'm gonna go look. Is everything on your Instagram?
oh yeah, everything's on my Instagram, Timber
Okay,
and Tide Designs. But yeah, it's like a 2 panel display. So it has one huge back display and then a smaller arch display in front of it. So she sectioned her stuff off between metals. So one
mhm,
display was for like the gold filled and the rose gold filled, and then she had another one for sterling and what was enamel or something.
okay.
Black and stainless steel, maybe I can't remember. Anyways, it was one of the biggest displays that I have made to date.
Wow, so
Yeah, but it was pretty much her idea. She says, I have these displays, they're getting pretty beat up, worn out. I want to have the same size, but this is what I'm envisioning. And people laugh, but they send me these like scribbled drawings and they're like, don't mind my
it's okay.
crappy drawing. And I'm like, it's really like the best thing that they can give me because I'm
Oh,
like,
perfect.
yeah,
Good to know.
like, yeah, send me your crappy stick person.
I
Like,
know. I'm actually like already thinking because I'm always, again, like I said before, like before even permanent jewelry, I've always been wanting to find pretty and the best displays, right? That can show a product, especially again, dainty jewelry. I think it is, unless it's on like a jewelry card, it is challenging. But I had this idea in my head for a connector display, like to
mhm,
display your connectors and charms.
mhm.
So I'll have to send you like a drawing because I'm picturing something that can stand up and again, that be more visible, like going into it versus something being on your table, which I
Have
think a
you
lot of people have is like the little containers for charms and connectors versus something that stands up.
have you not seen my stand up displays for those?
Okay, I need to see it first, right? Comment.
So I had the one, and you might see it like a couple of rows down.
So is it with hooks?
So there was the one that had hooks in them. So that was
Okay.
it was like a small hanging display. And then I
Yes.
came out with the bigger hanging display that fits up to 100 charms or connectors on.
Okay, is that okay, the white one?
Yeah, it has like
That's
little
okay.
loop rings on them or whatever. So
Yes. Oh,
I
that's cute too. See, okay, that's cute. That's so cute. I might have to get that. But in my mind, I'm thinking of something else, but I feel like that definitely could obviously be amazing too.
yeah, so well, I have actually redesigned that one. So
You have?
it's no longer hanging,
Oh,
which some people seem to love it, the ones that order it for time-wise, building-wise, and everything. I
yeah.
redesigned it to be more of a stand-up. So
So you have
now
redesigned that one. Is it on your Instagram right now?
I have not made the first new redesigned version of it, but
Oh, okay.
I do have a couple of orders for it. So it will be coming. I'll be taking photos and showing it off probably within the next week. But when you go on
Okay, cool.
yeah, so when you go on my website, you can choose
Mhm.
now from either a flat acrylic base or like a wooden base. So like on the wooden base,
Cool.
the panel like slides in and sits at an angle a little bit. So then
Okay.
you can pick it up and hold it and all that other stuff. Or it sits in a little flat base like the signs.
Okay, I'm glad I mentioned this to you. So, honestly, when we do have this episode come out, which it should be, hopefully, you will have that new one on your website by then. I don't think this will come out for another week or week and a half.
Yeah.
And we can do all these links to link to what we're talking about
Yeah,
when it comes to like your displays and your how to and all the things.
definitely.
So, actually, speaking of that too, I know are you still on Etsy or are you only on your website now?
So funny story. I have to backtrack a little bit to explain why I'm not on Etsy anymore. Sorry, I am somewhat still on Etsy. So because I do still sell signage and some stuff to other types of businesses. So
Right.
because I'm not always marketing to them as heavily, I wanted them to still be able to find some of my stuff. So I took pretty much all my permanent jewelry signs and displays, except for a couple of the how to and care sign. Those are still on Etsy, but I pretty much took everything and put it on my website because I just feel like my customers or most people know me now and they know where to
Mhm.
find me, and if they want to order something, then there's a link in my Instagram bio to get right to my website. Etsy is great when you're first starting out and don't really have a customer base. They are like a huge search engine. That's where
Right.
Etsy, like why they make or take so many fees, and that's one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to get off Etsy is because of the
Yeah.
fees. I was paying for marketing but wasn't marketing. Like I'm not advertising. Like I don't have them pushing any of my listings, but
Yes.
somehow I'm still paying for marketing. I'm
I know. It's
like,
wild.
why am I paying for marketing if I'm not marketing? So
Yeah. I hear
like I'm
you.
marketing myself. I don't need to pay for it.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was one of the biggest reasons was for stop paying so many fees. And
Mhm.
again, I think Etsy is a great platform, especially for people just getting started. Even if I know a lot of permanent jewelry people are getting into the ready to wear pre-made
Sure.
jewelry stuff,
Yeah.
and if they're going to sell it off outside of like their events and stuff, then I think Etsy is a great way to go.
I agree. Yeah. It's a great way to start too, but like with where you're at, I think too, like to be aware of Etsy versus going out on your own. Like you said, it's a great way to get exposure. It's a great way
Yeah.
to put your stuff out there. But also too, there's no brand recognition
Yeah.
like with that. Like
Yeah.
when most people say they got something, when does anyone ever say I got it from Goldie Links or I got it
Yeah.
from Tim or Tide? They're
Yeah.
like, I got it from Etsy.
Yeah. No,
Never. And even I have to say, I had purchased a sign from you prior to doing this priceless sign, and I didn't realize it was you. Like, I was like searching, and I'm like, oh yeah, like we're priceless. And then of course I found your Etsy, and I'm like, oh my god, it's amazing. And I had already purchased a chain display or some kind of jewelry display from you
yeah.
earlier this year,
Yeah,
last
I
year.
want to say it's a
And
chain display because I remember seeing the logo. I'm like, oh, and that's another thing of ordering or using small businesses is like, oh, I remember that person. I remember
yeah,
this customer. But yeah,
yeah. So it was like, but then once I put two and two together, I'm like, oh gosh, I already purchased from her. And so, because again, I wasn't thinking to go right back on and search, even though I had already bought the sign I liked from you, but I didn't
yeah,
think to. I was just searching in Etsy
exactly.
versus obviously if you have a customer base on your website and say you gather customer, whether you're doing that, whether like you're gathering emails or
Yeah.
whatever to keep people up to date too, because honestly, I just didn't know that obviously I just wasn't aware that you had a charm display. Like that way too, it's like way to keep in touch other than your social, but also
Yeah.
too, I think people are rarely taking that Etsy like company and looking them up on social media. I
Yeah.
typically really don't do it very often at
Yeah.
all. So
Yeah.
I think that having your own website and having because also too, it's a whole concept of even social media. Like what if Etsy were to shut down one day?
Yeah.
And it's like, now what? Like and all your customers are on there. So
Yeah.
taking them away from that and being able to service them and send updates and whether they
Mhm.
again you're gathering emails and being like hey I have this new display and then
Yeah.
keeping them up to date because Etsy you can't really do that.
No, like they have something you can like integrate a few things with them apparently. I never used them. I actually just started really utilizing like the emails, and I'm starting to build my email list, which
Yeah.
again as a digital marketer, you'd think have been doing this all along because I know do as I say, not as I do.
It's okay. One person show is hard, man. When you got all the things, you got to wear all the hats.
Yeah, it's hard to keep up, and
Um,
I'm the first to admit it. I'm trying to keep up with running my social media with my Instagram account, and
yep.
sometimes I forget to post, and sometimes I go a couple days without posting. I'm like, oh my god. Sometimes I'm just too busy, like
I hear you.
making the
Do you have
signs. And
anyone helping you right now, or are you still just doing all this on your own?
no, some people know this. I've posted it like in my stories and stuff here and there. I did bring on Allie. She does her own like graphic design, branding stuff. And I weird story. So I found her through a permanent jewelry client because I had posted one day that I needed help. Like I was just so far behind.
Yeah.
This was this past summer. Like I said, I just started getting an influx of orders and I just was like, I can't do all this anymore. I can't. Like I just the time that it takes, and I don't think people realize that, especially like sometimes when they look at my prices, like what that all entails.
I hear
Like,
you.
yeah. Like, I get the order. I have systems set up now that kind of automate that. So, which
Mhm.
costs money to have these systems like Zap. I don't know. A lot of people won't know the names. I'll say Zappy or Jot Forms, whatever. I have a system that now makes you fill out a form so I can get all the details for that sign.
Exactly.
Then once you
Yep.
fill out that form, it sends it to my project management system called Trello. So it creates like this card thing that says, okay, there's this new order and here's all the details. And to make all this work, there's another system that I pay for that makes it all work. But then I brought on Allie to help me design the mock-ups. And like I said, I actually was referred to her through a permanent jewelry customer who I was like, I need a designer. I need someone looking for work, whatever. And someone reached out. She said, oh, you should check out Allie. She did my branding. I want to say, and I believe I'm right, it's Lux Links is the business,
Okay.
is the girl who referred Allie to me. And Allie, it's Allie Clark Designs. So again, she does branding and all this other stuff. But she was nice enough to come on and help me with she does most of the designing of the mock-ups now because I'm more focused on getting the orders done. And this is no lie. When people ask me, I have a rush service that obviously costs extra if you want to have, I'm at a 3-week turnaround time right now.
Yeah.
And I was at 4 weeks. Thankfully,
Mhm.
yes, great and not great was the holidays came around and slowed me down a little bit and I was able to get caught up. And so I was able to cut my time down a little bit, but I consistently have at least like 75 orders at all times like that
Wow.
are like pending, like that I need to work on, get out the door. Yeah. So, and again, oh, sorry about that. That's my timer
Okay.
of I have to get to the post. Yeah. So I have like consistent work pretty much, even though it's not as much as, but being also a mom, I'm lucky enough that I have my fiance here. So he does more of like the childcare while I'm working most all day.
Yeah.
But I also last fall brought on a girl named Chelsea. So she's a photographer, usually in her full time business, but she's local to me. Allie is not. Allie lives in Wisconsin, I believe.
Okay.
So even though she lives across, she's been great. We talk mostly digitally through text, through whatever. And
Yeah.
then Chelsea came on. I brought her on for some time to help me with the admin tasks of getting back to people in Etsy messages or just trying to keep me organized because again, I had so much going on. I'm like, I just need to know where this is. When is this due? Can you email
Mhm.
these people back? Or if Allie needs something, can you track down
Yeah.
this logo design? I had the two of them working for me and they've been a godsend because literally
Awesome.
I would not have made it through the last 6 months without them. It
Right.
wouldn't have. Like my business would have gone up in flames because
Yeah.
or I would have had to shut it down because I just could not
Mhm.
keep up with all the orders coming in. And again, obviously that's great. I love it. Love you all.
Yes.
I'm very happy and I'm like
Yes.
I love what it's become. But yeah, with anything, I just think that a lot of people don't understand that everything that goes into running a small business. And I think
Mhm.
even with permanent jewelry, there's a lot. You need to keep track of your stock, of your products, of
Mhm.
what you've sold. Again, still doing social media and all
Yeah.
the things and all the hats. And I've actually been working on some kind of like a side business project, which has been in the works secretly, quietly, is like trying to help out the permanent jewelry businesses with their marketing. So I did create a new Etsy, which again, I haven't been marketing as much because I've been trying to like get everything in place. Some like how-to
You don't
guides.
have enough to do.
Yeah, I don't have enough to do.
What is this new tell me, is there another name for the business or is
Yes.
it like okay.
Yeah. So that is called All Things Permanent Jewelry.
Oh, okay.
You may or may not have seen. I've promoted it or thrown it out there a couple times in my normal Instagram, like stories here and there to push it a little bit. But again, with having this knowledge of digital marketing, social media, like all the things that I've done, I was like, how else can I help these ladies or guys or
Yeah.
whoever doing permanent jewelry? And I was like, I know a lot of people are struggling with like social media and like how to get more business, especially right now. I know a lot of people are saying it's slow. It's slow for everyone. It's slow for me. I think
Yeah.
it's just that slow season. And
Yes.
yeah, so I've been working on behind the scenes some just like helpful guides. I do have an Etsy for it. So see, like since it's a new thing that I'm starting out, I did
That's
start an
awesome.
Etsy.
I'm gonna link that too. That's so cool.
Yeah, so I do have a couple of guides on there already of like social media, how to again
Mhm.
finding your niche, and a couple like social media like pre-made things. I actually used to have a couple of files on my original Etsy that I moved over to this account. Again, the
Okay.
all things permanent jewelry. Should be able to search it on Etsy and find it. But so there's only a few
Perfect.
things on there. But yeah, so I've been trying to figure out if I'm going to do any kind of like coaching or really one-on-ones with people and that.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure that out. But right now it's more of just like a digital downloads type of thing. Like you're a self what's the word that I'm looking for? Just like walk yourself through it. It's all the
Right, right.
information is
Self-guided.
there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, self-guided.
Okay.
Sorry. I'm like, what
Yeah.
is yeah, so
Yeah.
like a self-guided, like here's all the information you need. Here's how to get started. Because I know I've seen a lot of people say they're struggling with that type of stuff. So
Yeah.
again, I'm here for you guys. Whatever
I
you
love
need.
it. I love it. So yeah, so we're actually that brings me to I keep saying we need to wrap it up, but we keep talking. So what do you see for yourself like in this year of 2024 for your business? What are you most excited about? What do you project? What are you thinking?
Yeah. So I'm most excited for the expo because I'm really excited to
Yep.
meet all these people that have
Yep.
made my business, that have helped me and have supported my business, that have ordered from me, hopefully new customers, that new people getting into it. Yeah, I could talk all day about this stuff and just to really meet the people that I'm always talking with on social media who are commenting on my posts or whatever, because obviously that's huge and that helps me immensely. People that share pictures of their setups at their booth, whatever. It's just, again, just meeting people in person, I think is going to be awesome. I obviously have some ideas that I'm trying to work out and new products that I want to come out with. Again, permanent jewelry is still my niche, but I have been looking into kind of expanding a little bit into some other niches and some different signage that I would like to do that might not be exactly jewelry focused.
Sure.
And then, yeah, I think hopefully with this other, like the digital, like social media marketing type stuff, I would definitely
Yeah.
like to expand on that because, like I said, I have all this stuff, all this knowledge that I would like to share with people.
Great.
And
Great.
however I can do that is really the next step, I think.
Yeah.
Just
Well, it's
getting,
gonna be fun to watch you because I feel like even if you do go to a different, not just a permanent jewelry or jewelry niche, but whatever you end up creating, we could tell your wheels are always turning. So it's like kind of
yeah,
fun to watch to see what happens and see
yeah,
what you create. And it's gonna always be, if anything, interesting to see like what what where you go with all
yeah,
this. So, and
yeah.
I hope you bring as much as you can to the expo because I want to see it all in person. Personally, I think I'll speak for
Yeah,
everybody.
yeah,
I wanna see all the things.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, I definitely am gonna try to bring as much as I can for sure. Like I said, it would probably be more of like the displays and stuff that isn't maybe
yeah,
fully branded. That's more,
sure. The general
yeah,
kind of yeah.
yeah. I think that will probably be the best things. Obviously, people want to see stuff branded. I make something that's branded, and then what am I going to do with it?
You know what's funny? You could probably ask people to bring their displays that they don't mind displaying.
So I
Because I was just thought of that. I'm like, I'll bring my displays.
Yeah, I did actually think about that. That it's like you're like in my brain. I actually was thinking that literally last night. I was like, I wonder if I should ask people
You
to
could
bring their stuff. Here I am,
totally.
like sanding this piece of wood. What can I do for the expo?
Oh my gosh, no, that's actually a great idea. That way you don't have to worry about and honestly, it is pretty easy to travel with. I wouldn't mind traveling with mine. They're easy. They're pretty
Okay, so
flat.
maybe I have to make the carrying case and then tell people,
There you
I'll
go.
instruct them to bring it as a carry-on.
There you go.
Okay, we're
Hopefully easier than
getting
carrying on a welder, okay? If we've done that before, which most have, like, we can carry a sign.
yeah,
Yeah, I think that's actually a great idea. We should put
yeah.
that out there.
Yeah, I might do that. I always am scared to be like, "Oh, I asked you to bring this thing and somehow it broke and now I have to remake it for you." So,
But
yeah, that is what I'm a
we'll have
little
to sign a
scared of.
waiver. Just kidding.
Yes. Perfect. Yeah, no, I might put it out there because there are so many different displays, and I guess I have to figure out who's going. That's one of my past customers because I don't really know
Right.
exactly everyone who's going yet. I have gotten DMs from people like, "Oh, I can't wait to meet you and see you there. I'm so excited you're going,"
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So I have general idea, but yeah, there's just so many different displays, and I
Yeah.
think I would need a 50-foot table.
I know.
Play all of them. I think I get beat, so I might be able to get creative, but I might try
Well,
to see if I can get a few of the different ones. Because I
yes.
know a big thing that I have gotten from people, and I don't know how to really put it out there, I guess, is size-wise sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, I know some people or feedback I've gotten, not even just permanent jewelry people, just people in general, is like you were like, "I want something bigger." And I think it's hard for people to really visualize how big these signs are.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
And that's what's so funny because I am a consumer, but I'm also a seller. Okay. I've sold jewelry, I make many things. And one of my biggest pet peeves is when or when you see a review and they're like, this is smaller than I
Yeah.
thought.
Yeah.
And you're like, you literally put the measurements in there. So, and I fall into that category as well because I feel like we're so like, it's all visual, right? I'm not going to lie. Like, I know everyone's different and some people might read line for line and really
Yeah.
soak it in. I don't do that.
No.
Like,
Yeah. I
I
don't think
look at the
any.
images and I'm like, okay, yep. And I'm very just fast with what I like. That looks good. Okay. And I have it already. I think it's your expectation. Like, whatever you think it is in your head, even if you see the measurement,
Yeah.
you think how it is in your head.
Yeah.
And then
So
I got it and I was like, oh my God, it's so beautiful. But yeah, it's a little smaller than I thought, which
yeah.
of course you had the measurements in there. It's not your fault. It's my fault. Yeah. So anyway, that's why I decided to come back and be like, okay, like I'm just going to purchase another. I'm not going to be someone I'm mad
Yeah.
about it because I'm mad at myself. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think that you really have to, what I've found is like, dumb things down for people as much as possible. Make it so clear in the images of how big it is. How people compare it to a penny, like
Yeah.
jewelry stuff,
Yeah.
and like something like that. But
I know. I'm like thinking, maybe I'll put like a Stanley cup or something.
there you go. I know. What can people understand?
Or a fake Stanley, whatever. If they know how
Yes.
big that is, and I put that,
Yes.
it's so hard though to show, like you said, unless there's something comparable in the photo with it to show off
Right.
like the height wise.
Yeah.
And again, it just comes back in my thought process when I design these things is how to make them stand out but not take up too much space. I think that's one of the things I'm going to be working on moving forward is when I take photos is somehow making it more obvious like how big something is going to turn out for people because
Right.
I think like I said it's hard to tell and yeah
I know it'd be funny to even do it like you said. Stanley's a good idea, or like something that is just I don't know. It's almost because what could you do with a sign like that?
yeah, I could put some cute little ruler or something in the
Oh,
back.
that's true. That's true.
But
Yeah,
yeah.
anyway, but yeah, I think that is a great idea. That's why I think it's nice to see them in person so
Mhm.
people can really picture
Yeah.
because online it is hard. I think we all do it. We like think it's a certain size or a certain whatever that we have in our head and we get it and we're like, "Oh." I do it with simple things even from Amazon. Like I ordered
Yeah.
this pill container
Yeah.
and I thought it was like a normal one. It was like this literally supersized one that came in the mail. And I'm like, "Oh my God." Like I had no idea. I thought it was just like the
Yeah.
typical size, right? The standard size. So I do it all the time.
Even if you did take the time to read line by line, I don't think sometimes we don't even really know what that means. Obviously, yeah, you can
Mhm.
say, okay, this sign is 9 inches high or whatever, but it's again, so I have the clip things that everyone's like into. So I
Yeah.
bought these
Yeah.
off Temu or whatever. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm just going on a buying spree. And then I get this little
No, I was dying. I actually saw like a meme or something. It was like literally like Timu, speaking of that. Someone was like, I thought I got an excellent deal on a rice cooker. And it was literally a miniature, like you could hold it in your hand. It was like a figurine. I was dying. I like sent it to a friend because I'm like, that's literally me. Like I would be like, wow, this rice cooker is only $3. Cool. Yeah. Oh my God, it's so
Yeah.
funny.
The
So yeah,
I bought
we all,
I had bought something. It never showed up, but it was like this unbelievable price. And my fiance said the same thing. It's probably like just a miniature, like little figurine or something. I'm like, that'd be really sucky. I'm like, I really hope it's not, because it said it was a full size. It was coming from China, and who knows? It never showed
I
up.
know, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's so
But anyway,
funny.
so yeah, I think sizing is that sometimes either we don't pay attention, or we see
Yeah,
it, but we still don't like, we can't
I
imagine
know.
visually, okay, how tall is that? Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things is like moving forward. I don't know if I'm going to really offer options of, hey, if you wanted a bigger size, then here you can pick the size. Because
Right.
again, obviously, changing the size of things like takes time, and like to
Yeah.
make sure everything else is sized properly and that
Yeah.
it's not like too big or
Right.
too small. But yeah, so I think a lot of it, again, back to the custom order type of thing, is
Yeah.
if someone wants something different, that just reach out to me, and I'm happy
Yeah.
to do whatever.
I have to say, yeah, your customer service is awesome. I feel like as always when I message you, you message back so fast. So whether it's you or someone helping you, that's amazing because I think we all just so used to this instant gratification right now, even though we are
Yeah,
business owners ourselves and we can't always get back to someone maybe right away. But I
yeah,
try my hardest because I know how much I appreciate that when someone
yeah,
does it with me,
yeah,
because I'm like, I get so excited about this stuff. Like I'm so excited about anything, like even this sign. I'm like, I'm so excited to get it. Right. So it's like when you want something, you always want it now. That's like literally how I
yeah.
feel like our culture is now. But it's so that's, yeah. So that I have to say your customer service, like probably is one of the reasons you're doing so great too. Not only your skill, but you have great communication. So I appreciate that.
Thank you. I appreciate. I'd say there are probably a couple that wouldn't agree with you, but I think that's in every business. We have a few people, or sometimes
Of
I have bad
course.
days like everyone else.
Of course. I know. And it's hard because again, even though we're in the same boat, for some reason we have different expectations sometimes of other business owners and
Yeah,
forget that they're also
yeah,
small business owners that have a family that are like they have their ups and downs and they have bad days and they
yeah,
have toddlers that are crazy and sick
yeah.
toddlers and who knows, right? So things like of course just happen, which we're human. But
Yeah, I think that's been the biggest downfall, honestly, has been like, when I first started, obviously I wasn't having many orders. Yeah, I was like 1, 2 week turnaround, boom, yeah, out the
yeah.
door. Now like I said, I was able to cut it down to 3 right now. But when I was up at 4, almost 5 weeks, I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
I feel bad. I don't think people understand is how bad I feel that it's going to take that long. But it's like I have this backed up,
Right.
overflowing like order queue that I'm like
Yeah.
trying to fulfill as fast as I can. But like you said, I don't think a lot of people think about it. Like you said, even though they may be in the same boat. Yeah, I have a toddler. Like I have
Yeah.
a family. Like I have to.
Right.
I honestly didn't get much time with my toddler or family the last 6, 7 months because of how
Mhm.
busy I was. Like I literally put them on the back burner,
Yeah.
and I think for 2024 that's not going to happen
I
again.
feel you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, I definitely didn't take as much personal time as I could have
Mhm.
or should have, and I
Mhm.
definitely was feeling the burnt out, and got to the point where there were days where I was questioning, "Is this even worth it? I love where this has come, and this has been my dream, that American dream to have your own small business
Mhm.
that's making money and
Mhm.
is successful and something you're passionate about doing." Like, I had those things, but I was
Mhm.
sacrificing the downtime and quality time with my now 3-year-old. Like, these are the years like that
Yeah,
I'm
I
supposed to
know, I
be,
know.
and that was the toughest thing. And I think as much as I want to satisfy all of my customers and
Yeah.
have that quick turnaround, because I know I'm the same way. I want things right now. Like I want them when I
Yeah.
want
Having said that, yours is custom. It's funny when I ordered it, like I knew and I had seen your turnaround time, like for sure. And I think you did message me and say sorry about the delay. And I honestly didn't even, it wasn't
them.
something I was like, oh, mad about or
Yeah.
disappointed because I knew that it is a custom thing. It
Yeah.
wasn't like something that's already made and it just needs to ship to me. So
Right. Right.
I actually didn't have that expectation. And I think that, again, even just you going as far as apologizing or maybe keeping someone up to date. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, but this is just
Yeah.
a week out. Like, da, da, da. That's all people care about. Just like knowing that it's in production, it's happening,
Yeah.
you care about it, and that's what people want to hear.
Yeah, I think
So
that has been the biggest thing. I think most people, like you, same as you, have been really good about it, have been nice about it,
yeah,
have been like, "Oh yeah, thanks for the update." That's all. As and again, when I brought Chelsea on, that was one of her first things. I was like, "Please go through all these people and just send them a quick
mhm,
message saying I'm sorry, we're behind, blah blah." Literally, I
yeah,
had 20 people she had to like contact a couple weeks in a row, like different sets of people, like just being like, I'm so sorry. But again, like you said, like just having that customer service and just being like communicating with people to just let them know is
yes,
huge, because I know there have been a couple of times like I've fallen behind and not communicated with people and they're like, oh, I wish that you had just said something. I'm like, I know, I'm so sorry.
right.
It's just one of those
I
things where it kind of
know,
fell through the whole, like, I
I know,
forgot.
absolutely.
I'm so
Yep,
sorry. I've gone as far as like throwing a couple of freebie like leather patches or whatever in there for
mhm,
some people when I've been like really behind. When
yeah,
I do try to go above and beyond and do everything I can. And I think that's the biggest thing of, I know that sometimes I lose business because like my turnaround time is longer than some other people. And I've seen some of my work out there from other sign makers. And
oh,
I'm like,
really?
it is what it is. Like,
Yeah.
it happens. Yeah.
Yeah, how do you I didn't even think about that actually, when it comes to someone copying or seeing doing something very similar to your
Yeah.
signs, I should say. I know we all take inspiration from things and it
Yeah.
can grow into doing a spin on it, but how do you deal with that? Like, how do you view that?
What's funny is I have my little vent session, I think, between like with Allie and Chelsea and stuff. Like they're like my go-to. Oh my God, can you
Yeah,
believe this? But you know, for the most part, I think in any industry, permanent
right.
jewelry, sign making,
Mhm.
whatever, there's so many other people doing it that whether the customer goes straight to them and says, "Hey, I like this. I saw this. Can you make this?"
Mhm.
Or maybe they have a family member or a friend that does it and they're like, "Oh, hey, can you do this?" Or
Sure.
yeah, flat out just someone completely copying you. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
it's there's no stopping it unless you
Yeah.
have a copyright, patent, whatever. And even then, you
Yeah.
still sometimes can copy things or whatever. Like you said, you're going to find inspiration for other people. That's just the way of life. And although, yeah, sometimes it's a little hurtful or sucks sometimes to see
Sure.
stuff that you're like, for a fact that like you came up with that. That was
Yeah.
your idea. You've never seen it anywhere else before. So it's again, there's been maybe one or two people on Etsy that I've had to reach out to be like, hey, you've literally copied me. You need to
Yeah.
change something. I don't say, oh, you need to just stop selling that, because like,
How is that received
yeah,
from them
exactly.
so
I
far?
can't force someone to. Like, even if I say, "Hey, you need to stop that," or I could complain
Yeah.
to Etsy, and then there's a whole thing through Etsy that if you do that, they might take your original down because
Oh, geez. How has that been received once you sent those emails? Did people were usually pretty cool about it or
yeah, I think I don't know if one even responded or one was like a little bit different enough where it was like whatever. But one of them, they're like, "Oh, I didn't know a customer sent me this design."
Mhm.
And then they just turned around and started reselling it. You know what I mean? So they were like, "Oh, I'm so
Well,
sorry."
that's what's funny because that's why I asked. Because honestly, of course, when we see things, sometimes we like our mind goes right to, "Oh my gosh, they saw our design and they're copying it." But
Yeah,
sometimes it's so unintentional, just like you said. Like
yeah,
I actually did I used to, or I still do, stamped jewelry, custom
yeah,
engraved jewelry. And there was somebody who came to me and wanted a certain quote and they wanted it stamped on a bar like
right.
pendant. And I did it and I posted on my Instagram. And then before you know it, I got a message saying that it was a copyrighted, like
Ugh,
saying it was actually somebody who some influencer or like someone in the fitness like industry. It was
oh,
like her
Jesus.
saying, and she had it over everything. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. I had a customer come to me
Right,
and asking me to do this. Like, I didn't research it. I didn't think anything of it. And so I had to take
right.
it all down. I was very
Ugh,
apologetic. I'm like,
yeah,
because definitely unintentional, but
yeah.
it was something that literally, and she sent me exactly what I made was basically what she offers, but like 5 times the price that I so like they basically came to me to
Yeah,
have me make it at a
yeah,
cheaper price.
yeah.
And I'm like, I had no idea.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing is sometimes it's not intentional. And that's why like I try not to, if it happens, like
Yeah.
I try not to be too like mean about it or just, hey, like this is, I don't know like what the case is here, whatever. And like I said, the person was pretty nice and just changed the wording or whatever and re-updated like their imagery or whatever on their listing. And I was like, whatever. And it's like
Yeah.
some people have asked, oh, can't you copyright that? And da da da. I'm like, what's the point? I'm like, anything I create and
Mhm.
post is like date stamped and I can like say it's technically, if you look at copywriting laws and stuff, it's already copyrighted.
Yeah.
I'm not going to, I just don't have the time, effort, or money to like go take that extra step to really patent it or turn it into this big
Sure.
thing. And it's just, again, even if I did that, there'd probably still be copycats out there somewhere.
Yeah, yeah, and in the end, I know it's a lot of energy, and I think I'm just a fan of, and not to say I'm not saying it's okay to copy. I think that there's certain specific, like an artist, if it's like a painting or something, like
Yeah.
obviously you can't copy that, or something very specific. Whereas what you're making, like people, like that's what I'm assuming. People can just alter a little bit, and then
Yeah.
it's no longer, even though it's basically yours, but not.
Yeah.
And so, really, in the end, it's I think people that copy, in my opinion, they're always one step behind you
Yeah.
anyway. So it's like the fact that you obviously are so creative when it comes to this and you're so talented that you're always going to keep coming up with new things.
Yeah.
And so like
Yeah.
it's not, whereas somebody who doesn't have that creative mind and they're just looking around them to get inspiration and not by their own inspiration, then they'll always be again one step behind
Yeah.
and looking to make something that someone else made.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
think that
I think that's the biggest thing is especially if it's only one off, like me, like I said, if maybe the customer went to them and was like, "Oh, I saw this. I've seen my chain display from a couple of different in a couple of different places that again, I didn't create it, but it's an
okay,
identical like copycat. Like
right,
they made exactly the same like art shape with a logo with text in a certain place and everything is like identical. And
yeah.
again, for me it's what am I going to do about it? And unless they're like
Mhm.
out there like reselling it exactly the same and stuff like that, there's only so much I can do and only so much I
I
can
know,
say, hey,
I
you
know.
wanna not make that again, thanks.
You want to stand up for your company and your business, and you don't want to be like, oh yeah, just go ahead and do it, it's fine. But
Yeah.
at the same time, it's you also just want to put your energy where it serves you,
Yeah.
right? And so putting your energy into someone who's like trying to fight this copying or like focusing on that so much, it's just taking away from what you could create and taking away from your business. That's how
Yeah.
I see it, you know.
Exactly.
It's like, where do you want to put your energy, you
Yeah,
know?
I think that's again in any industry, especially permanent jewelry. I know a lot of
Yeah.
people. I think one of my last pop up, well, craft shows that I went to, not only was it like out of the way, but I spent $50 to be in it and ended up finding out there was two other permanent jewelry people there.
Mhm.
And in total, there was maybe like 30 vendors there. Like that's a lot of permanent jewelry
Yeah,
people to be at this small turnout. And
sure.
I think we were all pretty upset that there were three of us in the same industry doing
Mhm.
it. And again, we want to get upset, we want to get mad, or we say, oh, I see this person's copying my style, or they're making their own beaded connectors or whatever. And it's like
Sure.
people get inspired and they're like, oh, that's pretty. And I want to offer it too. And it's just, it's so hard, but it really is just like a waste of time to on
Yeah.
it. Like,
Right.
again, it is in everything you do. If you want to get that customer over your competition, then do something different. Like
Mhm. Yeah,
you
it's
said,
true.
be a step ahead. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Or be more intentional in your branding or your marketing efforts or whatever. Like
Yeah.
you just have to make yourself that much different or do something so that you
Yes.
can show your ideal customer that you're the one they want to go to, not the other person.
Right. I know. I hear you. I'm all for it. I actually really, again, that's another conversation we could have for another hour because
Yeah.
the whole competition and copying, like, and just really putting that in perspective.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, again, you are the only, so
Exactly.
you can only create what you have in your head. And that's what's, I guess, to focus on. And like you
Yeah.
said, keep getting better because I think that with my boutique, I was in a merchant market and
Mhm.
still am. So I'm in business, I'm with a bunch of businesses. And so that was always such a thing. Like people are like, oh, she's doing this and she's copying me there. And I did get wrapped up in it the first couple of years. I've been doing it for 9 years now.
Wow.
But then I got to a point where I'm like, okay, I'm not even going to look at them anymore. I'm just going to focus on myself and focus on what I want to do. What can I do to be creative? It actually enforced me to be more creative. You know what I mean? Being around those businesses, because we were all just evolving all the time. So it's okay. It makes me want to be better. And that's a good way to look at it, rather than, because you can look at it the other way. You can keep dwelling on what they're doing. Yeah. And even if you feel like they're copying, dwelling on that, but what's that going to do for me in my business? And in the end, we're doing this to serve other people. So it's like, you forget that. You get caught up in all this drama. And it's really, what am I doing this for? You know what I mean? You have to come back to your why and like your intention behind your business and be like, okay, like, I'm doing this to offer solutions for permanent jewelers to have this. So me focusing on this person isn't doing that. So I think that, it's just.
Yeah, like you just said, exactly right, that we all get inspired. And I think my mindset is definitely, if I see something, I'm in the opposite of what that copycat is. Instead of doing exactly what they did, I'm like, how can I make it better?
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
Sure, I can alter something and change the font, whatever. But again, most of the time I'm like, how can I make this better? Or especially even when I'm coming up with my displays, I'm like, okay, people are using this for their charms or this for their whatever. That's how I'm coming up with my ideas, is I'm saying, okay, what are they already using? And how can I either make it better, more functional, or easier to transport, or whatever. It's just, I just am always looking to, I don't know, just make something that is either unique or, again, just get that step up over the competition. That's how you have to think.
Right.
You can't dwell on it. You just have to think, okay, what can I do different? What can I do better?
Yes. Yes. And I think people they follow you enough, they get a sense of that. Like they know that you're, I don't want to say the real deal, but like you are, you are an artist, you're evolving. Like, I just think people, and even from an Instagram, or even if you show up in your stories, and they get a feel for who you are. And a lot of businesses, especially like this type of business, I think, especially in-person permanent jewelry, I'll say this all day long, but it's not only is it your colors and like what you offer and whether it's your vibe, like people, it's the know and trust factor. And if people like you, they want to purchase from you, because it feels like it's cool to know the person behind making what you've made, and the fact that you're like, we like you. So it's I like that. Like versus someone who's, that gives you the ickies. And you're like, you don't want to purchase from them.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, I think I've been kind of lucky where I've been pretty like faceless on my account. I don't show my face a lot, or do like videos or selfies or anything. And it's been intentional, but I don't really like doing a lot of like personal stuff. But for my business, I don't really need to. And there's plenty of sign makers out there that they're doing a lot of like more behind the scenes, like actually videoing them, like making the signs and this and that.
Yeah.
And again, maybe I could sell more signs, or I could do things differently, be more like what they're doing on their social media and whatever. Yeah. In different industries, especially with like permanent jewelry or whatever, sometimes, showing off your face and showing off your personality really is a big selling point. Like that, like you said, it makes people know who you are and trust you more because they see you. And like I said, I try to sprinkle some personal stuff in there here and there when I can. Actually, most of the time, it's just I'm so busy that I'm like, I forget to do video or take photos and stuff like that. But most of the time I'm wearing PJs, no makeup, and I'm down in my basement, and I'm like, I really don't want to show a picture of this.
No, I hear you. And honestly, again, like I think that's what's the beauty of it. Like being a business owner, you can do business how you want, right? I know there's all these shoulds like you hear from social with what to post and whatever. But in the end, like what you offer with your signs does, like your signs in general show a personality. There's definitely a personality to your brand, even if it doesn't show your face.
Yeah.
But I have to say, if you did do a personal post where you talked about yourself, it probably would get the most engagement that you've had.
I know.
Because I'm telling you, I would like you to like try it, because I think that people, especially with the following you have and like where you are in your business, people do want to know who's behind that business. Like
Yeah.
I totally, and that's why I think people will enjoy meeting you at the expo because, and hopefully listening to this too, to get to know
Yeah.
you more because I don't know about you, but when I go to a website, if it's like a small business and I go right up to the about section.
Yeah.
Like I always want to know about the person. And I don't know if that's me, but I feel like I'm not the only one.
No, I like that. I do have a cute little about page or whatever.
Okay. Okay.
So it's there. And yeah, probably when you actually post this podcast, I'll probably post my picture or something with it.
There
So
you
it'll go
go. Yeah.
along. Because, like I said, I don't think I've shown my face really in video or anything in a while, but I've just been so focused on my business.
No, I hear you. It's not something I know. I get it. And even just feeling photo ready and
Yeah,
in your PJs, like you said. But honestly, so many people can relate to that. I'm not fancy every day by
yeah.
any means. So I can relate to that.
This is the most that I've put on makeup and done my hair in a while, let's just say. And I,
I feel
I'm not
special.
wearing anything cute. I'm not in my PJs, but not. This is what you get for the most part.
Yeah, no, I love it. Come
Yeah.
as you are. I think that's what people appreciate though, is like just because, and that's also again plugging permanent jewelry. But I think most of the women that get it, that's why it's nice. It's
Yeah.
always on.
Yeah.
It's no nonsense. You can
Yeah.
get up when you can even wash your face because you're like a busy mom.
Yeah.
Then you're like in working and having your own business. You're like, oh, but I have jewelry on. This is
Yeah.
perfect.
That was one of the biggest reasons for me was to get into it or wanting to have it is because I literally throughout my entire existence since I've worn jewelry have pretty much worn the same stuff.
Yes.
I'd never take it off unless I'm going to a fancy thing or special occasion. I have the same earrings, the same
Yep.
necklaces, whatever. I just always keep it on. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons why I'm so glad I found permanent jewelry was I didn't really know about gold filled jewelry before this. Like I hated gold in general. I hated gold. Like
Really?
I always wore white gold. And then I got really big into rose gold. Like rose gold has really been my thing. But then getting
Yeah.
into permanent jewelry, I've started wearing gold and I
Love it.
actually have this sterling silver necklace I just bought from a local artisan who does jewelry, not permanent jewelry, just jewelry in general.
Yeah.
But I've been wearing the same two necklaces for months now.
Yeah.
Okay, neither of them are technically permanent. They both have a clasp, but this Venetian rectangle, whatever, actually was sent to me from Sherry of Permanent Jewelry Training or Flash Infused. Oh, she was really kind enough because I had done some signage for her for the last expo. And
That's
she
awesome.
had posted this and I was like, oh my God, I love it. So she sent me one and it's custom size. So it's not like I can't change the size of it. So
Mhm.
technically it's still custom. So yeah.
That's awesome. Well, so good to chat with you. I am so excited to see you at the expo, see what you have to offer.
Yeah.
I feel like there's so many amazing things in store for you this year. So I can't wait to honestly, it would be cool. And I say this with most people I talk to because I feel like everyone's always evolving, like you said, and it's going
Yeah.
to be interesting to talk to you even at the end of this year and see like what 2024 was and did. And I
Yeah.
feel like I can just see you growing this huge empire of
I'm so
all.
scared.
It's a good scared though. It's a good
Yeah,
scared.
it is. No, it is. I'm really like, I'm trying to enjoy this downtime right now that I have. Because
Yeah.
like I said, it gave me the opportunity to really push myself to get my website live, which I'm excited about to have all my stuff there. Obviously, that was just a huge step. It took a lot of time and effort and stuff that I
Yeah.
didn't have this past summer to do. I just feel like this was like the right time to take that next step. And
Mhm.
yeah, I think the business as a whole is going to take a big next step for this year. Like I said, it's only year two, and it seems crazy to say that because I
Yeah.
really didn't expect how big, like how huge it took off when it did. And like I said,
But
so
when you say it's your slow time, didn't you say you have 75 like orders? So
yeah,
what's your busy time? What's busy look like?
I had over 200 orders at a time this past
Wow.
summer, like open orders, like constantly looking at 200 orders that I had open that needed to go out. And again, each of those takes 2 to 3 weeks to make and whatever. And I was like,
Yeah.
literally crying some days. Yeah, I think
Well,
this year.
I can see you like outsourcing a little bit more in the future. I feel
Yeah,
like you almost have to. So
yeah,
like creating more of a, and that comes with, again, and anyone's going to learn this when they listen to this and they're in business, and depending on how big they go, or how they expand their business, or how small they want to keep it. Because some people want to keep it small, and that's understandable. But it's like creating systems and outsourcing, I have found, is like, it's like a game changer
yeah,
when you get to that point, because like you said, you just can't do it all. And
yeah.
it'll
And
lead to, yeah.
yeah, I have considered outsourcing some of the smaller things like the patches or chain tags and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
like anything, it's like that letting go. And
Yeah, no, I hear you. And I know that is the hard part, trust me, because I feel like I am a control freak.
yeah,
But I'm like, when it comes to someone, could someone be like in studio with you though, like in that way, and just like making the signs though, but you're not saying outsource where it's like made outside of your,
yeah,
like
yeah,
someone working with you. Is
yeah.
that ever thought, have you ever thought about that?
Yeah, I think depending on how this spring, summer goes, like after
Yeah.
the expo and stuff, because I have a feeling that going to the expo, I'm obviously going to meet probably a lot of new people that don't even know
Yeah.
who I am or know that I exist
Yeah,
or
for
whatever.
sure.
I feel like I'm, knock on wood, I'm hopeful too, but I feel like I'm probably going to have an influx of orders after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know if that will mean expanding out into, a shop again, or if that just means finding someone who's comfortable to come work in my basement.
Yeah.
So,
No, it's funny because like when you have an in-home thing, I've always been in-home too, and I've had many like random employees come to my home and like
yeah,
work outside my home. So
yeah.
I
Well,
think I'm just so used to it because I've never had something outside my home.
yeah.
So yeah, it
Or
seems
maybe I'll finish some space in my garage and then it won't be so weird, but
that's true. Yeah, there's so many possibilities. Like that's what's cool, just to see what happens this year and yeah, where you go.
yeah.
So
So
I'm
I'm excited.
excited. Remind us where to find you then, like social, in your website, all the things.
Yeah. So everything is tied under the same name is Timber and Tide Designs. So that's on Instagram, that's .com, Facebook, TikTok. I'm in all the places, but I'm the most consistent on Instagram. So that's going to be the best place to find my work or see constantly be
Yeah.
updated. The website is going to be the best place to go to order stuff and where I'm going to be updating or adding new products. Again, the Etsy will be there, but it's going to be like probably like permanent jewelry related. I don't intend on adding more stuff there. Anything
Okay.
new for especially permanent jewelry related is going to be on the website. And then people can always either DM me or email me, which is just hello@timberandtidedesigns.com.
Perfect. So, real quick, because you mentioned TikTok, how
Yeah.
is TikTok compared to Instagram for you?
Again, I think for anyone, it's if you're intentional on it, it can be successful.
Yeah.
If you're consistent, all the things. I really haven't been consistent. I haven't been on there even close to like a enough of a percentage like to really
Okay.
make an impact. I really think it depends on who you are. I haven't tried selling stuff really on there. They just started allowing people to sell on TikTok. And
Hmm.
I was initially, when they first launched it a few months ago, I was gonna, but again, I was so slammed. I was just, I can't
Exactly.
take
Yeah.
that extra work.
Right.
Yeah, I think TikTok can be good. I think just like Instagram was to Facebook, like just even if you have
Yes.
to copy the same stuff and post it in a different place, like
Yeah.
you can easily download your reel from Instagram and
Mhm.
post it right to TikTok or vice versa. But
Yeah.
again, and I go over this a little bit in that social media guide that I created, every platform is like a different audience.
It's true.
So, depending on who you're really targeting is really where you should spend your time.
Yeah.
If you're going for an older crowd, now that's kind of Facebook. And
Yeah.
if you're going for like the millennial and stuff like that, we're on Instagram. And then like more the younger crowd is on TikTok, I think. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
And I think like what you just said, it's like, it's best to, again, like I feel, focus on one rather than spread yourself
yeah,
thin against all the others, because
yeah,
there's so many places you can be now.
yeah,
So,
for sure.
yeah. And I think whatever you focus on grows. So it makes sense. But
Thankfully, Facebook bought Instagram, so you can
yeah.
just like instantly whatever you post on Instagram can go right to Facebook. So
Facebook.
that's nice.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, it takes a little extra time to download from Instagram, go to TikTok and stuff like that.
Sure.
But yeah, like you said, I wouldn't spread yourself too thin. And that's a good tip for anyone. You don't need to be in all the places. Like,
I know.
focus on what is actually going to help you grow or whatever.
Yeah. I hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome chatting with you.
Yeah. You too.
Can't wait to see you in person, like I said. And okay, we'll be watching what you do this year. That's for sure.
Thank you. I can't wait to have this podcast come out and listen to it and be mortified. But
no, I can't wait for people to get to know you better. That's for sure.
Yeah, same. No, I'm excited. Hopefully, I can't wait to see where this podcast takes you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. I will see you soon.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Well, how do you feel? I hope this episode inspired you in some way. I would love to hear from you. So visit me on Instagram at Goldie Links Jewelry or at my website at goldie-links.com. I'm always down to chat. Have a golden day, and I'll see you next time.